all for today's session on behalf of ASCO Department, Amity University at Noida. We are joined with today, Dr. Rajneesh Ratna has joined us for the session. A brief introduction of Dr. Rajneesh. Dr. Rajneesh comes with a very rich academic background. He is a qualified professional. He has obtained his master's from IIT Kharagpur and also a PhD from IIT Kharagpur. He has a rich industry experience and a teaching experience which spans for over 19 years. Dr. Ratna has several awards and achievements to his credit. To name just a few, he was awarded with the International Excellent Achievers Award in 2021 by Saksham Society Jaipur in Rajasthan during International Education's Leader Summit. He's also obtained the Best Educator Award in 2020 by Bhopal Intellectual Progressive Educational Society and the Best Researcher Award in 2020 by ICMDR. Dr. Ratna is extremely popular and has mentored many management graduates on many research topics. He's also been a prominent speaker in several sessions. He chairs several sessions, and he's also conducted several webinars and workshops. Dr. Ratna, in his present capacity, is working in GCBS Royal University of Bhutan as an associate professor. Before joining GCBS, he also worked as an associate professor in ISB and M Pune. So I welcome you, Dr. Rajneesh, and
Thank you
now
so much,
the
madam.
session is yours.
It's always nice listening your own profile through somebody else. Thank you so much. And yesterday we discussed about the statistics, descriptive statistics, then inferential statistics. What is the role of P throughout hypothesis acceptance and rejection? We have to work with p-value, small p. When you are going for technical writing, you need to use small p and italic. This is probability and the detailed discussion we had from where it is coming and what are the accepted level, significance level. And in our social science, the significance level is at two levels, 0.5%, 0.05 and 0.01. Means less than 0.05 is acceptance of alternate hypothesis. And if it is more than 0.05, so it is a rejection of your alternate hypothesis, and by default, null hypothesis will be accepted. Coming to the point, and I've already shared the data. I'm sure that participants must be having that one. Let me explain this question first. I think I have right to share that. Question. And question is, or wait, I think it is disturbing something. So better you can open your questionnaire and I'll be able to explain here. In the question, if you look at the questionnaire, 2-3 parts are there. This study is better to explain in terms of that. Some technical problem. Wait. Yes. So this study is off the record. It is the funded project by the Royal University of Bhutan. And during the pandemic, we are just forced to shift our mode of teaching from a classroom to online teaching learning. And then we proposed this research proposal to university that we are planning to conduct a study, and we are trying to know that effectiveness of online teaching learning on academic performance. And by default, number of emails coming from the student and other family members also, that my student is under stress, you are planning to take classes through the online. In Bhutan, we have the problem because of weather climate, anytime in 24 hours, we are able to see all 3 seasons. The morning we will start with the summer, afternoon it will be rainy, and night will be winter. So because of this, internet connectivity is somewhat disturbing it different depending upon their geographical dispersion. Another point was that geo-type facility is not there. Whatever we are getting in 200 in India, here we are paying almost 1200 for that, or 40 or 45, 48 GB, we are paying 1200. And Geo is providing all those in 250 and something like that. So many factors are there, and student, family members, there our class, college management committee, all teachers, we are having in close discussion whether we'll able to achieve the effectiveness of teaching learning process or not. Sorry, I'm going in detail that one, but this was the main objective of this project, and whether effectiveness of online teaching learning is there and how to measure its impact. So we decided to check the academic performance. And academic performance, we focused on Bloom's taxonomy. So we developed a questionnaire for that. I'm just giving the background. And role of stress is, in general, I'm sure that audiences must be knowing that two types of stress is there. One stress is functional stress that is required for better performance. And second stress is dysfunctional, when it is having adverse effect on your health and your performance will happen. So here the aim of finding the intervening role of stress between these two factors, whether this stress is unwanted stress was there because of we are not having data for that, unprecedented level of lockdown, so many factors are there. So here we have taken effectiveness of teaching learning as an independent variable, academic performance as a dependent variable, stress as intervening variable, but in all discussion, we are taking it also as a independent factor. So those who are having high stress, how it is having impact on their academic performance, and those who are having moderate level of stress, how it is having impact on academic performance, and those who are having low levels. So we have used the questionnaire, and aim is to find out what is the level of stress they have and how it is linked with academic performance. So going through the question, only three factors here I have taken just for the practice. We are trying to find out this three variables with respect to male, female, program, BCom, BBA, and marketing and HR. MBA we have not included here. And some students are coming from the background, means they have the WOCX. So 4 classes are here, no experience, less than 1 year, and then 1 to 3 years of experience and more than 3 years of WOCX. Now, when we are going for taking this questionnaire, I'm just explaining this questionnaire when you have to take into the SPSS. After that, you can see here that effectiveness of online, I think online is continuously missing, online teaching learning. Teaching learning process, and 4 factors are there. Delivery of content, online communication, accessibility, learning support style. 4 factors. Academic performance, we are not having any dimension. Here, it is 12 items are there only. The stress, we have taken 10 items. So 10 items. So for our understanding and uniformity, all statement we are using word items, and set of items is dimension. So in online effectiveness of online teaching learning, we are having 4 factors. Factors or dimensions are same. A statement and items, we are using the same. So 4 factors are there. Delivery of content, online communication, accessibility, and learning support style. In academic performance, this is called unidimensional variable. So first classification, whether you are using as an independent means control variable or you are using as a dependent variable, which is going to be vary according to the, when we are making any change in dependent variable, how it is having impact on dependent variable. So one classification. Other is with the reference of dimension. So first variable, if you see, this is independent variable in our study, that effectiveness of online teaching learning, it is multidimensional variable, and it is having 4 dimensions. Our next variable, dependent variable, academic performance, and it is having 12 items and a statement, no factors are there. And in case of a stress, we have 10 items. So it is unidimensional. Stress is unidimensional. Your academic performance is unidimensional. And these are the effectiveness of online teaching learning. We are having 4 factors for it. Now, the question is that we have to take data to SPSS. So one input option is there in SPSS. First, we need to open SPSS. This is what we are going to get when you are starting your practice with SPSS. Open, untitled, you are not able, so you click the option here to save. Save option is not coming, not active. And 2 windows there. One is data view, and this is the variable. Step 1, import option is there that I will discuss later because it is almost taking the same time. Here, you need to define. So just go to the question, look at the question you have, and we are giving 1 for male. And so first is talking about the gender. Let me explain here the type. We'll see the possible options are here. It is numeric. What is the width of that? Then up to what decimal? By default, something will come. So when you have to put something into the name, this is called coding and decoding. Means it is not going to accept the just a statement we are using in our questionnaire. We need to give some code here. And for guidelines for code is you can use any alphabet with, if you want, this alphabet is okay. Alphabet, numeric value, no special character, underscore it will take. Otherwise, no special character it will be considered. For example, if I'm just trying to denote gender, simple writing J, it will accept it. But a space, if you're writing gender, that is also. It is saying illegal character. Meaning is that I have given a space for it. A space is not required here. You can write. And here, suppose I am using symbol. I'll explain later. Gender and type is what is the nature of this variable. So numeric, by default, numeric is coming. Is okay. What is the length of that? Up to 8 digits. After decimal, it will go up to 2 digits. Level here, if the name and this variable is indicating what? If it is different, so you can elaborate here in the level. Then you can move to the next level, value. And value is the option you are giving. Here we are giving 1 for male, as it is recorded in our question also, and 2 for female. This number is just, we have used this number. We can use 00 also, we can use 0 also. This number is not having any arithmetic and mathematical implication. These numbers are used to represent 2 different classes. And before that, I think one thing we have missed, the type of scale we have used. Means the response we are using to collect a record, this is called your scale. And based on the scale, 2 types of data is used here. One is when name is coming, that is called nominal. And if number is coming, like Likert 5-point scale, name is there, but we have assigned the number for that. That number 1 means here, the number we are assigning for first 3, gender, program, and WOCX. These numbers will not be the part of calculation, arithmetical calculation and mathematical calculation. But number we are assigning in the Likert 5-point scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that will be used in the calculation part with the mean calculation. So these numbers are having meaning here. And in first 3 cases, because options are not limited to. When we are going for 1, 2, 3 question statement is there, tutors are well prepared. So based on your perception, attitude, you will select 3, 2. So these 3, 2, 4, 5 this is called ordinal. Nominal is classification represented by name, but it is not having any mathematical implication. Frequency, we can count the frequency only. And in first 3 cases, mean and standard deviation is not applicable. When we are using number is having importance. It is giving order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll use for mathematical calculation. These two, from effectiveness to all the 20 question for online teaching learning, 10 questions, 12 question is for academic performance, and 10 question is there for stress. So here numbers we are using, and definitely numbers are representing different levels of agreement and disagreement. But these numbers will be used for further calculation. Okay, so we are taking the data here. Number we have already assigned. Male and female 2 option. No need. But here, if you want to assign, if you're not assigning anything, by default SPS will take which number you want that it will be reported as missing. So we are not putting anything, means if any data is blank, it will be reported as a missing here. Then one more option is here. You can see this, you can reduce, means option is given here, adjustment, where you want to place your data. So left, right, center. Measure is ordinal and nominal. 2 options are only here. So in that case, it is nominal because male and female 2 names are there, and this classification is based on the what type of role it is going to play. By default, input is coming, or if it is independent variable, you can put input. If it is dependent variable, you can use the target. And if you are not sure about it, that whether you are going to use as an independent or dependent variable, then you can use the put. Some other classifications are there, but right now I'm just going with that one. Just 1 minute. Okay. Now, second option is program. So P, I'm using P for program. Numeric, it's okay. This is just input in the what options are there?
9.
One is for question you have. We are placing BCom. Two, we are using for BBA marketing. Three, we are using for study. We are not going to change anything else. By default, whatever is coming. Third is in question, it is WalkX. So here I can write here walk underscore E, or what are the options? 4 options are there. Option 1, no experience. No experience. And 2, less than 1 year of WalkX. Third option is 1 to 3 years. Fourth option is more than 3. This coding is time taking, no doubt, but once it is done, only analysis is needed. Now, after entering the first coding of first factor, you can see the save option is now. So you can save as, and you can save your, as per your comfort, whatever you want to say or whatever the name you are trying to give, you can give that. I'm just trying to paste it here. Esco outputs data set. This is the data set, practice set, whatever name. And after that, you will find one more window is pop up here, and this is representing or indicating you what are the different steps you are going to save. So save option you have created, and output is also generated. And whenever you will open your data set, your by default outputs, it will be generated. So better you can take all this analysis in one sheet, or with the date, with the reference of date, you can differentiate, or some other form you can use so that you can differentiate this kind of analysis is done in this output set. But in output set, this is the data set. Data set, we have two views. First is the variable view, where we are going to define all the variables we have taken in the study, and then we'll take the data in data view. What are the steps and analysis we are doing that will be generated in output set. So save as, and I'm just putting the output set date to whatever you can. It's helpful for you to understand, because every time outputs by default it will be generated, and that will be maybe problematic for you. I don't know. File, save as. Output with date. Otherwise, it is very confusing for you to maintain the record which file you have conducted, what type of output that you have generated. Now you can cite this output set and again continue with that. Look at here, the 4 items that we have, 4 variables, and it is having 5 items. So DC 5, OC again 5, and now we have to code here DC1, DC2, DC3, DC4, DC5. My next variable is, dimension is online communication. So I can abbreviate OC 1, OC 2, sorry, OC 1, OC 2, OC 3, OC 4, OC 5. Now next is AC, I think, accessibility. We can code like this. The screen is visible, madam. AC1, AC2, AC3, AC4, AC5. Yes.
Yes,
And
sir.
then, thank you. Then LS, learning support, LS 1, 2, 3, 5. Or just so as per your comfort, you can use abbreviation as short as possible, but it should be different, and meaning must be clear to you that this is representing. And for understanding in the level part, if you want, you can elaborate here. So the 4th component of dimension of online teaching learning is learning support. So I'm using LS1, LS plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. Sorry, 5 only. Good. Now our next variable is learning support is academic performance. So I'm using EPI 1, 2, 3, 4. No, but we have up to 3 only. Our designation is EPI 1, EPI 2, up to 3. Here we are using EPI 3 up to 12. 4, EPI 5, EPI 6. Yes, 7. Now the last is stress. So S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8, S9, S10. This part, here we are having option. If you want, you can add the statements. So rather than using the whole statements, you can copy paste. It is friendly with the Word and Excel. But we have not assigned this value. So values are a scale option that we have created. And in this case, Likert 5-point scale, we are having 5 options. One is strongly agree to this. Sorry, strongly disagree to strongly agree. So 1 is representing strongly disagree. We can select. And I think it is not possible for you to practice parallelly, but you can make note of the steps. And if possible, you can plan for at least 5-10% in the group for hands-on experience, means real practice with your own data, because it is not possible in bulk when we are having this number of, even I'm not able to reach and clarify that where the problem is, whether the problem is with your software or with your data and data entry. 2 is disagree, added. Third is agree. 4, agree. Maybe it is boring for audience that I am only working and rest all, they are not doing anything. No, your active involvement is not there. But anyway, let me complete this process. So these are the 5 options. This is called the scale and ordinal scale. Here we are having option, we can copy and scroll down. You can paste here. Yeah, my coding is completed. By default, something is coming, but all dimensions, all factors, or icon given here, it is having some meaning. But time being, we are just going ahead with that one only. And I'll go with the question just there. Now data. One import option is there in, we can take directly data from the Excel to SPSS. But in that case, in variable view, you will find this type is disturbed, because in Excel sheet, on the top, your statement is coming. And in that case, by default, it will take a string or something. So individually, you have to go and change the setting. So almost it is taking the same time. Somebody is comfortable in importing the data directly from that, and they are doing the editing. And for me, it is okay. First, I'll complete the coding and decoding, and then you go for the data view. Here you have defined all the variables, all 3 variables, 3 factors, means 3 demographic factors, then 4 factors of online teaching learning, effectiveness of online teaching learning, then 12 items of academic performance, and 10 statement of stress. Now I'm going for data view. And open your Excel sheet. I think I've already shared with you, and copy that sheet. Sequence is same. I think so. Yes. Copy. Here, data view. Variable we have defined data view. You can place here. Paste. See, all the data is here. If you want to check, every time I check. Here, option 2, 3, 4, it is may not be clear to you. So go for this option and check. Female, male, HR, experience, less than, agree, disagree, whatever the option you have given. Remove that, the number is coming. So first step of your data entry is completed. First, you have to go for coding, and after the code, you can define the level. Means minimum. Now, name you have to define clearly with alphabet and number, and in the this part, level part, if DC, so you can put the statement here. Just for one practice, I'm adding here. I'm taking all the 5 statements of DC so that we can differentiate. And in the level part, you can place here. This is not coming, so I have to remove the words, statements. None. Okay. Look at here. So rather than having complete a statement, we can use the keywords. If you are okay and a statement is sufficient, or you think that a statement is required for your analysis part, so you can keep the whole statement. Or if you want, you can reduce here. Like well prepared, tutors were well prepared. So we can remove this unwanted part here. Learning activities keep the learner. Activities keep the learner fully engaged. Appropriate tools were used to deliver the lesson. It is understood we are doing this study during that. Course curriculum is suitable to fit the online delivery. Okay. Appropriately here, the curriculum is not designed for online teaching learning. We can save every time, sure. And then so this is coding level. You can add 2 important points that you have to cover. First, you have to define the name and what are the options given there. So that will come under the values part. If we have to differentiate that abbreviation you have used DC1, DCT, OCT, so you can add in the level part. It is comfortable, or you can use the statement, or you can use the keywords. This will be covered here. Now, sorry, listing the wrong file. It is part of DC. Tools. Save option created. Now stop save. And I'm going with output save directly. Because of all the activity, output will be generated here manually. Easy for you. Yes. 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 So this is output set, and the first aim is that we are trying to see the frequency of that. So first three is your nominal variable, and in that case, but for novice researcher, they use the descriptive and mean median in case of male female. It is not making any sense. In case of nominal variable, go with frequency. So analyze descriptive frequency. Taking gender this side, okay. Look at the option. We can see the output set here. Similarly, I will explain it. Descriptive, and I want to see program composition in the responses. Then I want to see the analysis, descriptive, frequency, select, send it back, to see this side, OPX. No, look at here. Here we can find 205 responses are there. 102 male, 103 female. 49.8% male and 50.2% female respondents are here. This valid percentage and percentage is almost same, but if you have any missing data, then percentage and valid percentage will be different. Cumulative percentage is already there. So when you are reporting this in your report, whether it is PhD thesis or your research paper, just classification, male, two classes are there, male and female. What is the frequency and percentage? Still, if you have space, you can go for cumulative. No need to report this valid percentage, this valid. So copy this one. It is possible to convert into the APA format, or you can copy into the Excel sheet, customize as per your requirement or as per your interest, and then you copy and paste into your Word file. Now look at this. Missing data is not here. Here becomes 7 students only, marketing 159, HR 39. So percentage is there, valid percentage is there. Missing information is not there. This is and in terms of experience, no experience 182, less than 1 8, 1 to 3 15, and no one is having more than 3 years of experience, and that's why it is not reported. You can cross check this number 205 205 205. This is for your nominal value. Now in case of ordinal, we can go for frequency analysis as well as we can go for descriptive analysis. See here, descriptive, and I'm just taking this 5. This way. Set. Option is for interpretation writing or for understanding your understanding. I'm just trying to, you can use the variable list. When the same sequence, you have entered your variable, then output will be displayed in the same fashion. Or if you want to reshuffle, you can use the alphabet. But in statistics, statistical analysis, either you can put into the descending order or you can put it in the ascending order. For easy interpretation, I'm selecting the descending order. Selected, okay. And now you can see here. Here, this is the minimum, Maximum mean is 3.9, standard deviation is 0.8. 205, 111, 55, and this is the mean. Highest mean is reported for tutors were well prepared. So in case of DC was delivery of the content, and highest mean was reported by the students that tutors were well prepared. Second highest is appropriate tools were used to deliver. Third is learning activity that is somewhat less than as compared to the first two, 3.24. Then, and the list is given, curriculum is not designed correct. It is not designed correct. Exactly, and especially in the professional courses, it's very difficult. In theoretical calculus is okay, but when you work on the subject like this, so disable. So this is what the interpretation is there. Out of 5 items of, we can interpret like that, out of 5 items of delivery of content, this one is the first, this is second, third, fourth, or you can write the highest mean is reported for this, second highest mean is reported for this, and the lowest mean is reported for this. So one interpretation you can, and the same way we can go for all 4 components. But if you are interested to know what is the overall mean of this DC, what is the overall mean of the second variable that we have used here. This is online communication, accessibility, learning support. So individual, this is a statement-wise mean is displayed here. But if we are interested to calculate the overall mean of these 4 factors, so here we have to create. We need to go back, stop share, and going back to dataset and dataset. Again, I have to create here some option like this. Insert variable. Mean underscore DC. Mean underscore OC. Insert mean underscore AC. Mean underscore LS. And the mean of all these 4 will be effectiveness of online teaching learning. Insert variable academic performance. So mean of academic performance that we have to create. After that, we'll go for calculation and overall mean of a stress. Okay. So this way we have added. So we have the option that we can add, we can edit whatever the variables we have entered there. Now this value, if you go to the data view, this values data set is completely blank because it is not based on this. We don't have the separate data set for it, but we have to do the calculation. And in that part, again, I'm going back to the output sheet. And with the help of output sheet, we will calculate. Analyze, transform. We are not going for analyze, we are going for transform, compute. And here, I'm just trying to match this. I'm trying to find the mean of DC. So what is the difference when that mean, let me do that, then I'll explain mean DC. Here, then this double click plus simple way we know how to calculate the mean, sum of all the responses divided by the number of observation. So 5 statements divided by 5. mean of DC. Be careful about the this when you are typing the mean. If it is in small, so you also put a small here. If it is in caps, same as them. Then this calculation will automatically, it will be under the heading of mean of DC. Otherwise, it will create a new data set, new variable, and your output will be generated there. Okay, so after that, yes, again, okay. And this is already generated. I'll show you. Stop share, going back to data set and see here, DC. No? So earlier it was blank. We have calculated. Let me explain here. First step, descriptive analysis. We calculated the mean of each statement under DC. Delivery of content, 5 statements are there, which is one is having high and which one is having low. Here the mean we have calculated. This mean is grand mean of all 5 statements with all 205 respondents. In first table, here we can see, here what we are taking, 200 respondents, they have responded on the first assessment, and based on that, mean is coming 3.9. Now we have taken mean of all these 5, means 5 statements, and each statement is recorded by responded by 205 responses. So I want to see the grand mean. So I'll go for analyze, descriptive, reset, and I'm taking the DC value here. And look at this value, the mean, overall mean of delivery of content is 3.44 out of 500, means 68%. Average mean is about the delivery of content, student satisfaction level is 68% out of 5. And this is all descriptive. Similarly, we can do the calculation for other variables, transform, compute, and I'm just trying to calculate the mean of OC. So OC, I'm removing D by OC, O, O, okay, or we can recreate that, okay, and look at mean value is mean we have calculated. Similarly, we can calculate mean for rest all the variables. For important variables, let me do that. It is AC. AC. A. Transform, compute. Once the calculation is over, after that, it's not very difficult. Mean underscore ls. Here I'm removing and putting it again so that you can see the steps here. ls. ls1, you can select and set here, plus select, shift, plus select, shift, plus, or you can double click also. Double click, plus, and we are having 6. No, it is 5 only. So if such kind of mistake is coming, so this way you can, L6 is not there. So you select. Yes, we can remove S from here. Wrongly it is entered. Now we have to go back the calculation. New shared, output set, generated, transform, compute. LS is only 5. So transform, compute. I'm just trying to find out mean of effectiveness of online teaching learning. Bracket mean of DC plus mean of OC plus mean of SE plus mean of LS, all divided by 4, and this output is generated. Now I have to calculate. Oh my god, time is less. LS, I have to calculate academic performance. So mean underscore FP. In latest version, if you are having 26th or 27th version of SPSS is also available. In that case, just you have to select and you'll get the mean. But we are working with 21, 22, 23, so we have to go manual. Here, 1, sorry, 2, 4, divided by 12. Generated, this will fit. Transform, compute. Now I'm trying to calculate mean of stress. Mean of S. Here I think stress spelling is not correct, but we'll see later. Remove, reset, double bracket. And under stress, we are having 10 statements. 1, 0, 3, 4, 5, 10 divided by 10. Now we can stop share. Going back to data set, and you can see all the calculation is completed. Now, mean of stress. So mean of stress Y, mean underscore S we have used for computing. And in our data sheet, we have indicated it with the mean stress. So in that case, SPSS by default, it will create the last new variable and it will be generated. Look at here, mean stress. No? So you have to be careful, the coding and decoding part. And now option is that I can remove this and I'll copy that part from here and we place there. This is also not required to cut this part. Okay. And we are going to place here because for all analysis it is needed. Insert. Insert a variable, then next. Okay. So this S is by default, it is shifted somewhere. Now it is back. So this is all your statistical calculation, how to generate output. We need to go back. The data calculation part is completed. Now one by one we will follow. Step 1. This is reported. I want to report descriptive, analyze, descriptive. Okay. And in descriptive, I am trying to find out of 4 factors of online machine learning, which is having highest mean and which is having the lowest mean. So I'll go with the option. I'll select this descending order. Rest is okay, and see. So out of the 4 factors of online teaching learning, highest, some calculation mistake is there. I think 5, it is coming 25. Here it is coming 6. Means some wrong entries there. This range has to be from 1 to 5. So there is some mistake in LS calculation. We need to visit and select and find out this calculation. So correction is also, we can go first. Let me go for the data set, try to find out where we are having this mistake. And in LS, we had the mistake. LS, let me scroll. Or we can do that. LS1, Control F, the same you are using for Excel, and find. It is not there. Then 25, it is not here. So we can go for frequency analysis. We can scroll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not able to find through the vision, then I'll go for analyze, descriptive, frequency, and I'll take all the statements under LS. Why we are getting some out of range. Data is coming. So 1, 2, 3, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Select it, shift it here. This template sent back. Check. Now you can see the report. 6, frequency, strongly agree. It is okay. In case of LS, yes. And L5 also. So report wise, we are okay. So maybe there's some problem in calculation. Let me do that. LS, we can repeat the step for the calculation, why it is coming outside or range. Done. LS here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 divided by 5. So I think we'll get that. So we can check, analyze, descriptive, reset, mean of LS. So if some mistake is there, it is for you. No, it is coming in order. The output generated, range is varying, but some calculation error is there. And again, we can go back, analyze, descriptive, and we are planning to compare 4 factors of online teaching learning. So we have calculated here and see. Now result is coming into the page. Highest mean is reported for learning support, then delivery of content, and out of these 4 factors, online communication, and the least is for accessibility, because faculty may not be visible because of internet connectivity and so many things they have reported in my finding. Because of that, they are not able to connect. So accessibility with the Moodle tutor was less. Learning support was given because we tried our level best to share the PDF, or sometimes we are recording in the Excel sheet or preparing the video and we are sending to them. So that's why we got the highest mean in that case. In case of preparedness, yes, it is okay. Already subjects are ready with, but only thing is the change in mode was somewhat creating the problem. Then online communication was also effective. So this is what the mean is generated. But one thing I have missed here, that if we have to add frequency, because in certain cases, there will be demand from your, then that how to prepare. So this way, suppose I have to present gender, I have taken statistics. Mean mode is not required in case of, but if you want to present in the form of, anybody is having understanding what kind of chart will be used when we are having nominal data? It will be presented in the form of pie is applicable. So first you can check through this pie chart. Continue. So along with your data, see your pie chart is generated. One case of male, female, and in case of you're fine. Similarly, we can generate for others also. Analyze frequency, and I want to present into the form of it is presented. You can copy and paste there. Male. Histogram is used. A space will not be there. The difference in histogram and bar chart is a space will not be there, but that is used for numbers. If it is nominal data, so you can go with the bar chart or pie chart. So if it is demand, or you have to present that one, I'm just sending it back, and you want to present your PS score in that. So chart is bar chart. We are taking and presenting this. Look at. So table is also there. See, I've already explained that 3 forms are there through which you can present your data when you're organizing or you're summarizing them. The summary, your table is sufficient to explain percentage and number of the respondents. But still, it is the demand, so you can add this kind of. Same way, we can go for descriptive frequency, and I'm interested to present WalkX here. Chart, okay, and this. So this way your chart is prepared. If you want to present in the form of pie chart, frequency, select the pie chart and present there. In case of your ordinal data, descriptive frequency. Okay. And I want to present that mean of BC. Okay. So mean of BC, in that case, chart will be your histogram that is used for the numbers. And look at such a complicated chart is there. But if you are interested, you can add this. So check the requirement, and accordingly you can prepare. But 1 day complete 5 to 10 hours, 5 hours required for making a graph. Chart builder is here. Sometimes you can go for learning by doing, or you can take the help of YouTube videos. 3-dimensional chart and different charts will be there. But in the basic our study analysis, we can use this chart, frequency, and 3 options are given here. Pie chart is applicable for any kind of, but you need to understand bar chart. When your data is nominal, you will use the bar chart. And if it is ordinal or any number is coming there, so you can use the histogram. So this way your descriptive will be completed. Item-wise analysis, you can take the items of one factor and you can do the analysis. The whole analysis, frequency with the chart, and descriptive is applicable for ordinal, like the way we have presented here. We can take mean of AP also. We can take the mean of a stress also. And in option, we can select this, that putting into the descending order. So we took that one, okay, and see the result here. Result is representing that learning support is again highest. Delivery of content is 3.4. Online communication 3.2. Stress level is 3.2. Then accessibility is 3.03. Running. And academic performance is, look at here, the management, college management, we all are having concern for that academic performance is not going up to the mark. Below 3 means below average. So 2.7 is reported, and this was the concern. We are trying to find out that we should go for. We can support with different platforms, study material. We can go for tutorial classes. But 2021, we had the complete classroom discussion. So we have tried to minimize this AP. But in this online, first time when we are forced to go for the online classes because of the pandemic, our academic performance was reported below 3. Now, reliability of the instrument. So analyze. Analyze, scale, reliability. For DC, we are having 5 items. You will not take the mean. The recorded items you will select. This data you have responses. And see. Cronbach alpha is reported here, and this value is 0.648, which is almost close to, not close to, but 0.7, 0.6 is acceptable. According to Lee Cronbach recommendation, this value should be acceptable value. Is having high internal consistency, this Cronbach alpha value would be 0.7 and above. It is 0.648. In that case, it is acceptable. You try to find out. Psychometria was the journal, and 1951 something, 54 or 51 something. This publication was there from the Lee Cronbach, and recommendation was there that if the value of Cronbach alpha is 0.627, it is acceptable. But good means in terms of highly reliable, it should be more than 0.7. Means it is having high internal consistency. Here it is acceptable. In that case, we can check another, analyze, scale, reliability. Meaning is that if you are getting any result other than this, again, if it is coming 0.27, 0.8 something, we are citing based on the recommendation of Cronbach alpha. The value of Cronbach alpha is 0.7 and above. So we can conclude, or we can interpret here, we can infer and we can interpret here that instrument used for measuring the delivery of content is reliable, or it is having acceptable value of Cronbach alpha. So reset, and I'm trying to see the reliability of my question. We can see for all, that is not 155 report. Again, it is low. Means some problem is there. In that case, if you are getting any value which is not covered here, so you can cite from the researcher. so and so researcher cited or suggested that this value of Cronbachel is acceptable based on the condition. Because two factors are important when you are calculating the reliability: number of items that you have, and another point is how many responses are there. So this value will vary. But somehow, if your question is well designed, it will be under and it will be in the range of 0.7 only. So I'm trying to find the reliability of stress or academic performance. Reset. Look at 0.957 is too high. So again, you have to mention so and so researcher, ND field, or this Cronbach and blah, blah, blah here, and so long list is there. But according to them, this is highly reliable, and we can say the instrument you have used for measuring academic performance is having high internal consistency, or it is acceptable for the further result. This is the testing of instrument that you have used for your study. After that, we'll move to the next level. Look at for 10 items of stress, 0.799. So value of Cronbach alpha is more than 0.7 as per the recommendation of Cronbach. It is highly, the instrument is reliable and it is having high internal consistency. But in case of online teaching learning, you have seen already here that we are not getting that good result. So what could be the possible reason here? We are having 20 statements, and suggested if you are getting such kind of result, so in that case, we can go for factor analysis. Meaning is that the dimension we have taken for our study 4 factors, it may not be appropriate for that grouping. So you can go for factor analysis. And in the previous class, we have discussed about the 2 aims of doing the factor analysis. If it 20 items, I'm not going with this factor, 4 factors mentioned here. I'm taking all 20 statement and I'm asking SPSS, you help me in finding the possible factors. Maybe in that case, we'll get the better result. Already 12 statements are there for academic performance. So one is exploratory when you are trying to find out what are the possible factors in case of when you are not sure about this dimension. So finding dimension, analyze, you can go for dimension, factor, and hope it is visible. And I'm taking all 12 statements, irrespective of our classification. I'm asking SPSS to do the class. This is called exploratory factor analysis. And I'm taking all 20 statements in one go. Decided. And descriptive, I don't have anything. I'll select the KMO. Extraction, here we need to that. When we are selecting for extract based on the eigenvalue value greater than 1, means SPSS is going to divide the group. And if I have to fix some number, then it will be confirmatory factor analysis, and I'm forcing SPSS to summarize into one group or 2 groups, whatever the factors or dimension is there. So exploratory, I'm putting this one, continue. Rotation, Varimax, number of reports will be there, but these things you can add in your, if it is a PhD thesis, so you can add in your, after your references in an annex section. But main things that you report the significant KMO value and load factor. After that, we can see here that result is generated, and based on this result, see, it is saying here, component rotated matrix, that this course curriculum is not designed appropriately. It is negative. It is not declarative statement. If you look at all the statements we have used here, we are finding this statement is not declarative. It is not there. Means we need to convert the responses into, because it is reverse. So a reverse coding will be done. If it is 5, so we have to convert it to 1, or if it is 2, so it will go into the 4, and 3 will remain as it is. And SPSS is suggesting that we can use 5 factors here, where this one will be rejected, and we need to work on this data because it is a reverse coding and we have not reversed the responses. Otherwise, LS5, AC5 and OC5 is coming in one group. Then AC4, 3, 2, 1, 2, it is coming in one group. Another group is LS3, 2, LS4, and tutors are not well prepared. It is coming in one group. This OC2, OC3, it is having factor load less than 0.5, so it is rejected. So we will remove. And in this way, we are able to get that. But in the process of developing the questionnaire, or in the process of finding the factors under online teaching learning, means lots of work is required. Not abruptly we can jump with the 205 sample and we can go with pilot study and see which type of grouping is coming based on the data. That grouping is done by the researcher based on the different factors involved in online teaching learning. But data is saying that here we are having possibility of 5 factors. 5 factors will not do, 4 factors will be there, but grouping is different. And based on this items involved here, you can find a suitable name for this set. You can find a suitable name for this. You can find a suitable. Those who are below 0.5, they are not appearing in any of the group. But if you go through the statement, you are finding it is very relevant for online teaching learning. In that case, you can, in the step we have followed, one place I have marked for 0.5, suppress the value below 0.5. So you can suppress the value below 0.4, 0.3, and try to see why these items have been rejected. Because dropping items should be your last option. When you are not having any option at all, then you have to drop. So it is a complete instrument development process. And if we take, for example, Madam Neha, please help.
Yes,
we can take any one group. Like, just wait. Yes, just note down AC1, AC2, AC3, AC4. This is coming in one group. And when we are going to check the reliability of this, we'll get a better result. Earlier we have checked AC1, AC2, AC3, AC4, AC5.
Sure, sir.
And our reliability score was not good. It was near about 0.5 and something.
Right.
Based on the factor analysis, grouping is done. And when we are going to analyze with the help of this group suggested by the SPSS, maybe we are having chance to get the better reliability. So scale, and what was that? Reshaped. Can you tell me? AC?
SC1, SC2, SC3, and SC4. 1, C2, S3.
Yes. So reliability result is Cronbach 0.725. And according to our study, when we are taking all 5 statements under AC, and then see it is coming 0.632. Meaning is that we have used the literature review for finding the items, but based on the data, the grouping is different. So when you follow this factor analysis, and based on the suggestion given by the factor analysis, we can go for the different grouping. By default, you can see with the one item, the variation of Cronbach alpha is, it is 0.63 and it is 0.72. Almost 1 point difference is there. 0.1 difference is there. So it is clear that factor analysis is helping us for finding the factors. And based on the load reported here, it is going to confirm your confirmatory factor analysis. This load, look at above 0.5, all load is in. Another traditional method is there in finding when we are going through this process of items and grouping and all those, you can go for inter-item correlation. Inter-item correlation, that value should be in the range of 0.3 to 0.8. Point 3 is one item is well connected with the other item. It should not be less than that. And it should not be more than pointed. Otherwise, case of multicollinearity is there. Means two items, if their correlation coefficient is more than 0.8, meaning is that they are highly correlated. Case of multicollinearity, or these two things are measuring the almost same thing. So that's why I'm repeating again and again, in the process of questionnaire development, we need to conduct pilot study time to time. Means 100 data is completed, then you can conduct a study. Then after next step, if your aim is to have 500 or 400 or 300 responses in sample size, and this will be helpful for you for refining your questionnaire and your data analysis interpretation. So this way we'll do the reliability. Already a similar question is there. In case of academic performance, we had the similar questionnaire, our reliability, Cronbach alpha was very, very high. In case of stress, it is already tested instrument. So in that case also, we had a very good result of Cronbach alpha. In case of effectiveness of online teaching learning, first we prepared the list of all the items we have divided. And then we are trying to test it with the help of data. And we are finding that result is not coming up to the mark. So in that case, we'll take the help of exploratory factor analysis, and exploratory factor analysis will help us in dividing all the items into different groups. Based on the attributes of the grouping of the items, we can give a suitable name to the factors. And again, just for example, we have checked that AC1, AC3 people, we are getting a better Cronbach result. So this is all about your reliability and validity. Next is the test of difference. Time is not permitting, but quickly I'll take 5 to 10 minutes. Madam is here. Rui, madam, how much time I have?
5 minutes.
So, yeah, 5 minutes.
So how you are knowing that madam will give 5 minutes only? Okay. So
So we have 5 minutes.
Okay. Because many more things, especially reliability, regression without regression, hypothesis testing will not be possible. Test of difference, I know that we have scheduled for some other day, and I don't know, some resource person will be there for sample testing and all those. We talk to this person. Sorry, I was deeply engaged in all explaining small things, and I missed that almost 1.5 hours we have used. But let me explain regression analysis. So doing this regression analysis, analyze, we'll go for regression,
Where are you?
linear. Dependent variable is academic performance, so we are taking mean of academic performance.
Yeah, sure.
Independent variable is effectiveness of online teaching learning. But you can see
Thank you.
only one space is there for dependent variable, means in one go through the SPSS at a time, we can take one dependent variable, we can take n number of independent variables. And this limitation is not there when we are using them. So day by day, new softwares are coming and we are trying. So just here, and output set is visible to you, madam?
Sir, no, sir. Sir, you can take your time. Such time limitation. Yes, it's visible now.
Now,
Yes.
see, when we are going for regression, we'll get this one. And first is model summary. This R is coefficient, Pearson correlation coefficient 0.96, and R square value is 0.24. Just you can multiply R with R square. Adjusted R square is assumed to be more purified because all error terms is removed. So in some study, you will find some researcher is reporting R square value and some researcher adjusted R square. But if you go through the discussion, you will find adjusted R square is assumed that it is free from the error term. So reporting of this is very important. What it is representing? 0.243. Means when you multiply with 100, it is 24.3. 24.3% of variability in academic performance is explained by online teaching experience. Very less impact is there. And this impact is just explaining 24.3% variability in the performance of a student. Rest, I think almost 75%. 75.7% is attributed to other factors. So a student academic performance during the online teaching learning, it is predicted only 24.3% by teaching learning process. The rest all 75% or more than that based on this study is dependent on other factors. It may be the environment or culture prevailing there, or it is dependent on individual capacity, or it is dependent on the availability of resources and how much self-study student is doing, how much, because in online we are not sure whether they are listening properly or not. Just for the attendance, they have entered, and after that, somewhere else. So that's why we can see here, this result is repeating that one. Talk to this person.
We have to go and collect it.
Go, you can go with my car and put into the bag.
Hello, uncle. Can you come?
Now, look at here.
Yeah, okay.
What is the impact it is going to have?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
This value and this value are is same. And here we will interpret that yes, there is this P. This is the P value. The P value yesterday we have discussed and we have emphasized too much. This is the P value. And this is a standardized coefficient. So first interpretation is that effect online teaching learning is having significant impact on academic performance. What is the amount of that? How much impact it is having? 0.496. What is the meaning of this 0.496? Point means if you are going to increase the effectiveness of online teaching learning by 1 unit, then corresponding change in dependent variable will be 0.496. So no sign is here means positive sign. So let me explain. I'll take another 5 minutes. The regression analysis is very important. This is used to find out the impact of one variable on another. But in SPSS, we have the limitation. At a time, we can take, you can take the umbrella and something. Then you can also Ramki sir. So we are taking one dependent variable and one independent variable. Now, if my aim is to know out of 4 factors we have taken for this study, 4 factors of online teaching learning, which factor is having more impact? So for this, I'll follow the same process, analyze, regression, linear, and rather than taking EOL, I'll take all the 4 factors. I'm not going for the correction, the result of factor analysis. Whatever the factor we have selected for 4 factors, we're taking that and output is generated. Now just go for the last table, coefficient result. DC, the value of P is 0.000. So we'll say the degree of content is having significant impact on academic performance. OC, online communication, 0.002. This is less than 0.05. So we'll say OC is having significant impact on academic performance. And sign is, no sign means positive sign. But in case of learning support, we are finding there is no significant impact. So please note here, 3 things we have to check. First, we'll check whether it is having significant impact. This learning support is not having significant impact, meaning is that students are not doing self-study, or they are not going for any kind of material that you are doing. They are not doing this. Maybe during the class they are active, or they are just following the PPT. Rest all learning support the tutor is providing, they are not studying it as per the data it is saying. This is not, because 0.703 is definitely more than 0.05. So there is no significant impact of learning support on academic performance. Now these 3, or DC, OC, AC is having significant impact. Which one is having more impact? So it will be determined with a standardized coefficient beta value, 0.355. So DC is having highest impact on academic performance, followed by online communication and then accessibility. But learning support based on the data, it is saying it is not having. And here we need to clarify that some cases, I think it is myth only, that when you are doing a research out of 5 or 4 hypotheses, some hypothesis has to be rejected. It is not like that. If you are having the real data, you have collected the data honestly. So irrespective of that, go with that. If it is all accepted, where all rejected is definitely a point that you have not selected the right variable for that. It is not possible. Acceptance of all hypotheses is not at all. If any rejection is there, here you are having more homework. If any hypothesis is rejected, why learning support is not having impact on academic performance. And again, we have to dig out and we have to dive deep into the literature that why is such kind of relationship there, why support is not able to improve. First, it is not significant. It is not significant with the performance, and this way we can see. Now, one more example for regression, and I think we need more session for this discussion, because mediation, moderation, many things. Don't know when we'll cover. Madam will make the arrangement of that. I'm just trying to find out that online teaching, learning, and stress, how they are related with academic performance. Okay. And directly, this all tables are having implication. Because of the time, I'm just skipping and going to that. See, stress is not having significant impact here. Means stress is not a factor. But if you visit the literature and see, stress is having 2 roles. Throughout the semester, the level of seriousness we have for the course and preparing notes and for examination is not there. But during examination, because of certain kind of a stress after the deadline or exam schedule is displayed, we are subconscious, we are taking the printout, we are trying to find out the notes, looking for the PPT. Some level of stress is there. That is the functional stress, and it's needed to improve your performance. Here it is saying that it is not significant. So I think we need to justify why such kind of apparent result is coming. Now, online teaching is having impact, so it is significant. One more example, out of 5 statements of content delivery, which is significant on academic performance. So you can practice these things. Definitely, we are missing so many different land. We have that mediation, moderation, and all those. But after this, we can plan, no problem. See here. I'm just jumping to the correlation part. Look at here. We have the 5 statements of delivery of content. And out of this, only 2 is having direct significant impact on academic performance. The rest all is not having. Maybe if we can improve the data size, we can improve this data. Here, another justification would be that in case of academic performance, we are taking mean of 12 statements. If it is possible, we can take one factor of academic performance and then we can check significance, not significant. So conclusion here is, in regression analysis, means after when you are writing your report, you can report your demographic variables, that these are the factors based on the whatever the factors you have included in your questionnaire, that this is the composition of my sample. Second step, the instrument I have used, it is reliable and valid. So with the help of factor analysis and with help of Cronbach alpha, we need to report that one. Then when we are going for hypothesis testing, regression and this analysis, in regression, 3 things we have to see. First, whether it is significant or not. If it is significant, significance will check with the value of P, the sig value it is given as P. If this value is less than 0.05, it is significant. If it is more than, no significant impact. Those who are having significant, then we'll check the value of a standardized coefficient beta. No sign means positive impact is there. Otherwise, negative sign will be there. So first we have checked the significance, then we'll check the sign of standardized coefficient beta value. If it is positive impact, means when you're going to increase independent variable, your dependent variable will increase. If it is negative, means you're going to increase the independent, your dependent variable will decrease. So positive and negative. And then you can check this number given there. If it is positive, high number, high impact, and value is low, so low impact is there. So if my hypothesis here is there that tutor preparedness is having significant impact on academic performance, so based on this value, it will be rejected. There is no significant impact of teacher preparedness on academic performance. How much you are prepared is not going to improve the performance of other. But when you are going to deliver that, it may be having the impact on that. So composition of all these things. Similarly, learning activities is having the highest impact on this based on this value 0.375. So first we'll check significance, then we'll check the sign, whether it is positive and negative, and then we'll go for the value of that, how much it is having the impact. This value is, if your R value is less than 0.4, we'll say it is having weak impact. From 4 to 0.7, 0.699, it is moderate impact. 0.7 and above, it is having a strong impact on dependent variable. Based on the time limit, I've tried my level best to cover, though many topics are left. We have not discussed the normality check, how to identify outliers with the help of Mahalanobis, and mediation and moderation. Test of difference is planned some other day. So that is, so based on the time, sorry, we need more time for this. And in general, for PhD and research scholars, it is offered for 30 to 40 hours. So now we can go for question. So Madam, Rohi Madam and
Yes, sir.
Neha Madam, you can plan some other session if possible, but make sure that lot size should be limited. Participants must have their own data with their own questionnaire, and one-to-one we can discuss that this way you are doing the analysis, you write the interpretation. So one by one, that will be helpful. Otherwise, basic understanding is okay. First level, it is.
Sure, sir. So participants, in case you have any questions, so there's a question and the participant would like to know how to plot graph on SPSS.
First, we have gone through this analyze, and option is there, analyze, then you go for descriptive, and descriptive again giving so many options, frequency. So you can select the frequency, under that chart option is there. But one separate heading is there in analysis part. This is a graph builder. And for this, we need at least 5 to 6 hours to explain. But learning by doing is also possible. All different types of 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional graphs are there. So based on your requirement, you can make use of that. Otherwise, 3, which is very common in your stat, is pie chart, bar chart, and histogram. Histogram is used for continuous, means when you are playing with the number. When you are having nominal data, means classification is there, then you can use the bar chart. Pi is almost applicable for your nominal as well as for the continuous data. But if different level, high level of a graph you need to plot, you go into this. Just let me show that where it is available. Here, this, look at this option, graphs, chart builder. You click OK, and you will get basic elements, group D, nest, which factor you are trying to place on x-axis, which factor you are trying to place on the y-axis, all graphs will be generated. Yes, next question, please.
Sure. So Janki, I hope this has answered your question. The second question, sir, is for analysis in PhD. Can we use SPSS or should we choose other softwares like R and many more?
Madam, you can choose any software. Basic understanding of descriptive and inferential strategies that we have discussed yesterday is same. Coding and generating output, they are following the different steps. Once the output is generated, writing interpretation and concluding acceptance of hypothesis and rejection of hypothesis is based on the value. So whether you are generating from this software, you are generating from that software, it is not a problem. In case of R and Jamovi and many more lists are there, that is free of cost and it is available easily. But this is the IBM product, whether you are using MOS or SPSS. So at least you need to have, rather than having the pirated version, you have purchased properly from that, because it is the case of copyright and some other things will be there. So software is not the factor, Madam Janki. Generating output from any software and rightly interpreting that, that is the important in your PhD work.
Thank you, sir. So there are no other questions, sir. And would like to thank you for the very interesting session. Both the sessions were very, very engaging, and quant and especially the softwares can be, quite a scare to the scholars. And I can speak of myself.
Technical.
And
Yes.
softwares are like that, they're like the icing on the cake. So, but as you rightly said, sir, would want more sessions.
More
But
sessions.
both the sessions were engaging,
Practice.
and I'm sure the participants are taking away a lot of learning with them when it comes to SPSS. And there's a
Sure.
request also as I speak, there are some participants saying we need to arrange more sessions on SPSS. So thank you so much, sir. And we look forward to connecting with you again. I think Dr. Rajneesh has lost connection. Yeah, I think Dr. Rajneesh lost connection. So in that case, should we begin with the next session?
Neha, I'll just connect and I'll let you know, huh?
Sure, ma'am. Sure. In the meantime, would just like to remind the participants to please fill in the feedback forms. And there's a time limit to filling up the forms. If you could
I
all
think I'm connected
please
now.
fill up the yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
So yes.
So thank you, sir.
One point I have to add here, that
Yes,
time
sir.
to time from my college side, we are organizing such kind of workshop, and the aim is not any kind of making commercial activity and making profit, but some sizes, participant size is limited to 30 only.
Sure, sir.
And if it is more than that, we are going for the extra discussion and trying to reach, because the participants are having different set of data.
Right.
Doing analysis, interpretation, result is different. So for practice, one type of question and data set is okay. But in a small group, you can plan this cohort type. It will be very helpful for understanding, for your practice, for your writing, interpretation. So this is important. And Madam is suggesting for more sessions. So if it is coming from your organizational level, it is okay. If my organization is planning such sessions, so you can join. I'll share the material through the different social media platform or through the Ruhi Madam. Last option is that you can plan a group of 4, 5, 10 students and you can approach. So we have the experts here, and accordingly we'll facilitate you in all possible manners. Thank you. Any
Sure,
other
sir.
question?
So thank you so much, sir. I don't see any other questions, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
sir.
so
And we
much,
look
sir.
forward to
Thank you, Dharmendra sir.
interacting.
Thank you,
again.
Ruhi Madam. Yeah, we'll meet again. We'll connect. Thank you,
Definitely.
Madam
you, sir.
Juhi B. I'm sure that Professor Dhanpati is also facing the same problem.
Okay.
He has joined or not?
Sir,
he has not joined.
we don't see him. No, sir.
And so he is facing the same problem. So meantime, we can, or some other discussion, Madam can carry. I'm just trying to check because I'm in office and his cabin is nearby. So I'll suggest that yes, office data is network is LAN and WAN is not working, so he can connect through his own personal data. Okay.
No, sir.
We will have a 5-minute break,
Sure, ma'am.
and as Professor Dhanpati will join, then we will continue with the second session. There is a power cut there, and so they are trying to arrange and connect.
Thank you, ma'am. So we'll join in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, we'll begin the session.
Yeah.
You can put that you have joined.
My background se light do.
No, it's okay.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
It's blank.
I'm fine, ma'am. We are sorry because
No
of
worries, sir. Not a
our-
problem, sir.
So
should
yeah,
we begin, sir?
please. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so good evening, participants, and hope you all join back. I would like to take this opportunity to extend a very warm welcome to Professor Dhanpati Sharma. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Sir will be taking today's session, and before I formally introduce him, would like to give you, a little insight into the theme of today's session that Sir would be conducting. The session is on language. We as a researcher know the importance of language, especially when it comes to writing, and especially English, since it's the most spoken in the written language. We all know the challenges and the difficulties that we face from time to time when it comes to actually writing an academic paper, or it could be a simple research report. Sir's today's session focuses on English and its role in both academic writing and research writing. Sir comes with a very rich academic background. He has facilitated and attended and participated in several conferences, and also has several research publications to his credit. Sir presently is working with GCBS Royal University of Bhutan. So welcome, sir, and I hand over the session to you now.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. Firstly, I would like to wish a very good evening to the esteemed members of MET, the PhD scholars. And with this, I would also like to take you through this very odd journey, in fact, a journey towards your language. We know we have all the PhD scholars here as participants, and your journey has already begun, and then you are in somewhere in the middle of your journey, and then the very essence of attending today's program is learning research, but I'm here somewhere out of nowhere to talk on language. So pardon me if this becomes a boring subject for you. However, let me start with what is most required when it comes to language and handling PhDs. So all of us get into PhD, and we have our own course of writing. And in the process of writing, we come across so many hurdles, in fact, in handling our languages. How and what about languages? How about the tenses? How about the voices? And so many things comes up. And then we hardly have any people to actually clarify on this. So maybe I'll just take you through a very, very short slide that I have prepared for you. And then basically I would like to focus on a few topics here. Use of voices in the research paper. use of tenses in a research paper, use of numbers in a research paper. We come across numbers in a research paper, so how do we still handle them? Framing a research topic and paraphrasing is an art of for the researchers. So if time permits, maybe I'll be able to complete all these 5 topics. If not, maybe I'll stop wherever the time completes. So to begin with, I'll just take you through the first slide, that is on the voices. So I think it's needless to say, talk about what a voice is. However, maybe for some of us, it's quite important to, in fact, recap on what the voices are. So we have the 2 voices, and then maybe if we just go by the rules that we were taught in the schools, we were said that active voice is very important, and all of us should use active voice. So maybe if we just think and then reflect on, what are these 2 voices? It's basically active voices. It emphasizes on the agent of the action, and on the other side, the passive voice emphasizes on the person or the object, right, receiving the action. So these 2 things quite important for us. So what is active and passive? So I think we all know it. So since active voice constructions are usually stronger, clearer, and more direct and often concise, I think we most of us prefer using active voice. However, when it comes to the passive voice, we have some reservations. So people feel that passive voice are quite indirect, and it creates problem for us. However, let me tell you here the work, the research articles that we are going to write is going to be a blend of both passive as well as the active voice. And then we need to know when to use these voices. So active voices we are using quite often, and then we know where to use it. But let me emphasize on when to use, when is it the best to use passive voices. So the first thing is when the agent of action is unimportant, right? Unknown or obvious to the readers, right? So in this case, we are going to use the passive voice, right? So we see the example here, over 2,000 patients are diagnosed with diabetes each year, right, by doctors in the United States, right? So here, it's not very important to tell by doctors here, right? So maybe the doctor, the subject becomes secondary to us, because we know that the patients are usually taken care by doctors. So what is important here is the action is important, right? Not the agent who is doing it. So similarly, encyclopedia has been written throughout history. So I think, again, it's needless to say who has written, but it has been written. That's the important point here. The next point is, just a minute. Okay. Yeah. So the next important thing point here is, right, when the object or the action itself is more important than the agent, right, performing the action. So this is where we still use passive voices. So when the object is important, right, action is important, not the performer, right? So so the extract from sample A was added to sample B to create a mixture, right?
Internet got connected?
Just a minute. Check. I'm sorry. Just let us connect this to the, yeah. Should I connect it here?
No, wait, sir. I think official one is there. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Sir, you're on mute.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry for the distraction here. I think the power and the, everything, this is not really supportive for today. So I was sharing with you that, okay, in the previous slide, I was sharing that when the object or the action itself is more important than the agent that's performing the action. So in this case, you can see the differences here, right? The extract from the sample A was added to sample B to create a mixture here. So if we just look at how it would look or how it would sound as an active voice, it would be something like this. Our team assessed the result using chi-square statistic, right? We added the extra extract from, right? So we are just adding here, the doer of the action. So for us, what is important for the research, what is important is not the person who is performing, but what has been performed, how it has been performed. I think that's more crucial for us. So it's always important that we use passive voices in such cases, right? So active voice seems, it's more fitting for a story and an anecdote than for explanation of any kind of actions carried out in the course of these studies, right? Different scientific studies. In the third case, when the recipient of the action, right, is the topic of your statement, right? So if the recipient of the action is the topic of your statement, again, this is where you're going to use, right? So it's sometimes necessary to use passive voice to place the most important information at the beginning. So in the passive voice, we say, right, slime molds were once classified as fungi, but are no longer considered to be the part of that particular kingdom, right? So in the active voice, how it would look like, right? Scientists once classified, right? So here, so when the recipient of the action is more important here, isn't it? So what has happened to this, slime molds, these are more important rather than who did it, right? So this is where we use passive voices again. Okay, so next we will be talking about now the use of tenses in research paper, right? So I think this is quite, sometimes it's quite subjective as well, because people would say that, it all depends on what kind of research I'm writing. It all depends on what kind of investigation I'm doing. So I rather say that this is, for general, right? I'm talking on a very general note. Usually, maybe a social science research in this case would, in a general note, take this, right? So let me start with the abstract here, right? This slide is not moving as per my, instruction. Okay. So abstract, right? When we start with abstract writing, so basically, the examples of a concise introductory sentence basically takes the present perfect tense, right? So starting with the present perfect tense. So, just giving you some example there, right? Recent studies on glucagon and insulin production have led to breakthroughs in medicine. Then after that, we establish, we give examples of establishing the background and circumstances, all those. So in order to do those, right, give it with examples, we use the present tense, right? So diabetes accounts for higher number of deaths in the US than previously calculated. So maybe we are using the present tense to exemplify the things that we want to put it in the abstract, right? For general statement and facts, the paper itself or analysis of the findings, right, use the present tense. So if you are stating some facts, I think this is what the paper should look like using the present tense. Okay. If you are stating the fact, right, that has been specified in some earlier times, and you want to reuse those facts, right? So you want to use the say the same thing, that has been said. So you're going to use a simple past, right? In 2016, diabetes was the most common, right, endocrine disease. So that has been said, and then you are using it. So here we are using the simple past, right? Getting on to the next slide, right? We will be looking into the introduction part, okay? Introduction part of research. So in the introduction part, usually this is what happens, right? The present tense is applied when you are discussing something that is always true. I think this is quite common and everybody understands this, right? The simple past is used for earlier research effort. So if you're referring to something that has happened in the past, right? Either your own or those reported by others. So you are using that simple, simple past tense, right? So earlier research effort, so I have given one example there. This same research team discovered a similar enzyme in their 2012 studies, right? So if the time of demonstration is unknown, so what we do is we use the present perfect, right? Prior researchers, right? Or prior research has indicated a correlation between X and Y. So if we are somewhere, not knowing the exact time, we are again using the present perfect tense. For concluding the statement, right, we use simple past and present perfect tense, okay? Simple past, right? The Caltech glucagon studies were inconclusive, right? Present perfect, prior researchers in this area has been inconclusive. So we are actually using, different tenses within the same, that is the introductory phase. Okay. So use of past perfect tense when you talk about something that has happened and was found to be the case in the past, but which has since then revised. So again, here we are using the past perfect tense. Okay. So we can see the example here. Similarly, going into the literature, now this is a complex area, in fact, right? So knowing the tenses to be used in literature is quite, we cannot be very, very sure about it. However, right, again, I'm talking on a very general note, right? That how we actually discuss, right? So the simple, past is used, is usually applied when you are using researcher's name as an object of the sentence and discussing the methods or result of that study itself, right? So researchers' action, so Pearson discovered. So basically the simple past tense is being used here, right? And then when giving your opinion on other researchers' work, when you are using other researchers and then you are trying to bring up and then if you are trying to conclude it, right, then here we are using the present tense. Okay, so here I think present and past, you have to be it has to be tactfully used. Then getting into the method section, right? So use simple past tense to talk about what has been done, right, by the researcher, what you have done actually. For the clarity of the paper, right, we generally find passive voice used to describe the action of the research. I think this has been covered as well, right? So a passive voice is preferred here, right? This puts more focus on the action. So because action is important for us, not who is actually doing it, right? So passive voice brings things much clearer in this case, right? So we can see the examples here, right? So we talk about the methods of studies, we talk about the methods of analysis. So I think the examples are there, we can still see on the screen. Next, use the present tense to refer to or explain the diagrams. So if you are using the diagrams, yes, we are definitely going to use that. So in that case, what we are going to use, we're going to use the present tense, right? For the figures, tables, and charts, whatever you use it, right? Table 5 shows the result of the first isolated test. So I think this is quite clear, right? And in the results section, getting down to the results section now, right? Use the past tense to discuss actual results. So we are saying that we are going to use the past tense to discuss the result, right? use simple present tense to explain, the diagrams, figures, and tables, right? Sentences may be used in both passive and active. Again, we are, giving the liberty to actually use both the passive and the active voice, right? So I think it's very important for researchers and the writers to be, conscious or maybe aware of what you are trying to focus. Is it the agent that you are focusing, or is it the action that you are focusing, right? So based on that, we are going to use the passive and active. And in the discussion section, right, a discussion section consists of analysis of findings and kinds of translation. That's what we see, right? And the implications of the findings. So I think this is what happens in the discussion section, right? So we use a simple past to summarize our own findings, right? So the experiment, since it's done and complete, right? So since the experiment is already over, right? So we are still using the past tense, right? A simple past tense to talk about it, right? So simple past use a present tense to interpret and discuss the significance of your findings. So when you're talking about the significance, yes, you have to use the present tense, right? So when you are talking about the findings, you are going to use the simple past. Okay, this study confirms that, right? Synthetic glucagon is 2/3 of as effective as decreasing fatty acid synthesis. Okay, so we are saying two things here, right? For your own findings, we are using simple past, and for interpreting and discussing the significance of your finding, we are using the present tense. Now, getting down to the conclusion, right? We use present perfect tense to clarify that your statement still holds true at the time of the reading, right? So it's a present perfect tense, right? So results from this study have led to deeper understanding about how different, right, peptides interact in this enzyme. So use the present tense to apply findings, right? State implications and suggest further research. For example, you can look at the example of the implications, right? So the study confirms that, right, endogenous glucagon is even more essential in metabolism than previously thought. Okay, and then further, when we are actually discussing, right, further research that is either needed or intended to be carried out, right, the future or the present tense can be used in addition to the present tense passive voice. For example, we can use further clinical studies are needed or will be needed or must be carried out or should be carried out. So we are using this future, right? Future tense, right? The future or the present tense, okay, here to talk about the recommendations, right, can be done in the future. So here, I think when we talk about the tenses in general, if it basically shifts, and then I think we need to use some of our logical, or rational thinking in order to say that, okay, since this is what I'm talking on in the present note, maybe the tense should shift, right? So maybe sometimes it's quite easy for the researchers or the writers to in fact talk about, use it. But if we are not having a very clear idea about the tenses itself, right, I think then it will be a problem, right? So if the tenses are clear with us, I think the usage would be clear, right? Once we go through different research papers. So it's always advisable for us to read as many papers as possible, right? Now, getting down into my second topic, right, I'll be talking a little bit on the use of numbers in the research paper. So we can see, a large number of, digits and words and then numbers being used by the researchers in their research paper. So, right, in general, right, APA style recommends using, right, words to express numbers below 10. So if you're writing using numbers below 10, right, so you are going to use it in words, right? But if you're using, a number which is 10 or above, then you're using numerals, okay? So words and numerals. So that's what we need to understand, right? But however, when we say this, I think this does not apply to all, right? There are always exceptions, and these exceptions are what we need to understand. And then these exceptions are something that makes things more complex, more complicated, right? So let's get into, some other exceptions here, right? Take you to the next slide. Okay, yeah. So instances where you should use the numerals rather than words, right? So there are a few instances, right? We have, we have said the instance was clear in the beginning, but there are again some instances where you can use numerals, okay, not the words. So number one is numbers mentioned in the abstract, right? A table or a figure in the paper, right? So basically, we are talking about something that's there in the abstract, right? So in the abstract, we use more of the numbers, right? Not the words. So we are not using the words here. We are using the numbers here, right? So that, for instance, we say here, right? Let's take the example of the abstract here, right? The abstract, written in the style of American Psychological Association, provides a succinct description of the paper in no more than 250 words, right? So we do not write this in words. We are using this in figures only, right? The numbers. So number that immediately precedes a measurement. So if there is a measurement that comes right after the number again, right? So we are using the numerals, not the words, right? 2.54 centimeter, right? Or 1.5 gallon. So we are using still the numbers here. Okay, the third one, right, is number that represents the statistical or mathematical functions, fractions and decimal number, percentage, ratio, percentile, right? Quartiles, all this we use numerals only, not the words, right? So divided by 10, 0.5, right? 50% of the participants, a ratio of 10:1, or maybe 10 percentile. So we are still using the words. We are not using we are still using the numbers, right? Numerals, not the words. So next one is number that denotes a specific place in the numbered series, part of books, tables, etc. Right? And numbers, each number in the list of 4 or more numbers. So we are saying, even in this case, if you are talking about the numbered series, right? Illustration so and so, okay, illustration number 4 or illustration number 1, right? Table 12, table 15, right? Or maybe number that exceeds 4, right? 1,560 people died, right? So we are being specific here, and then we are still using the numbers. Number that represents time, date, age, right? Scores, point values on a scale, and exact sum of money, right? So again, we are using 2 hours, 30 minutes, right? Still the number here, numeral here, another word, right? 50 years old, right? A 10-point scale, or maybe $100, right? So we are using this, okay? And there is one exception, right? For instance, if you're talking about the number of days or weeks or months, right? So maybe in that case, in your narration, right? If you're saying, okay, I roughly took around 6 months to complete. So in that case, you are using the words, right? Or else, otherwise, we are still using the numbers. Now, just the other side of the coin, right? So now, when do we use the words then, right? In addition to using words to express numbers below 10, right? Use words to also express, right? So number one, number beginning a sentence, right? Numbers beginning a sentence, title, or a text heading, right? So if your sentence itself begins with a number, right? So we cannot write 1, 5, 15 there, right? 15 participants, no. So you still have to use the words there, right? Next thing is common fraction. When we talk about the common fraction, 3/4 of the population, right? So when we are talking about the common fractions, we need to use the words. And the next is common phrases or groups, right? So maybe 7 wonders of the world, or 3 musketeers, or whatever, right? So common phrases that comes, which actually has numbers in it. So we still use words for this. And to add a few on this, right? A few other rules concerning numbers, we can say, right? So if you are using, I think this is quite important, right? If you are using 2 modifiers against a noun, use a combination of both numerals and words, right? So we are using, 3 5-point Likert scale, right? So we are using that, isn't it? 3 5-point Likert scale. So we are using 3, right? 5-point Likert scale. So this is a combination of both, right? Numeral and the words. Next, place a 0. This is quite, again, important here. Place a 0 before a decimal fraction less than 1 if statistics can exceed 1, right? So if it can exceed 1, for example, right, 0.54 inch, right? So if you are saying 0.54 inch, right? So it can be more than 1, right? It can exceed 1. So in that case, we are using 0 before the decimal point, okay? We are using 0 before the decimal point because the number can exceed 1, okay? But there is one exception here, right? If the statistics cannot exceed 1, you do not need a 0, right? So if the probability value, right? When we talk about the probability, right? So it does not exceed 1. So we do not put, right? P value is equal to 0.85. We don't write that, right? So we just say P is equal to 0.85 or 0.45, whatever is the value, right? So this is these are some of the concerns, or maybe some of the very important things that we need to remember when we talk about numbers in the research paper. Okay, getting down into framing research question. I think this is the third topic that I'm going to cover, right? Framing a research topic. I think a research topic is one of the toughest thing for all the scholars, in fact, I should say, right? A topic should be the fewest possible word that accurately describes the content of the paper. In fact, in the least word, you should try to take out the most the essence, in fact, right? The essence of your paper in the least possible words. And this is the biggest challenge for all of us, in fact, right? So we need to omit all the waste of words, such as the study of, or investigation of, or observations on, right? So maybe we need to be careful, because what is important for us is when we try to publish our paper, right? We want our paper, we don't want our paper to be just, idly sitting in one corner of the, office, or maybe an institution there. So we want to put this, publish this paper, make it visible to everyone across the globe, right? So in that case, what happens is, people do not, search your paper, by some, some words that actually is not, of not much of use. For example, our study ops. Nobody, starts searching a research paper on the internet saying a study of so and so, investigations of, no, right? These words do not play, right? So what is then important for us, right? So, right, indexing and abstracting service depend on the accuracy of the title, right? Extracting it, from it keywords useful in cross-referencing in computer searching. So whatever word is most appropriate for your research, and upon punching those words, people are able to catch hold of your paper, right? Use those words to frame your title, right? So we need to be specific, because an improperly titled paper may never reach the audience for which I think it was intended, right? So everybody would like our papers to be referred by so many people, cited by so many people. But if our, the title itself is not framed properly, people would never bother to look at it, right? They will never come across our paper, right? Though it is there published, but people will not come across, because your title itself is not catchy one, right? It does not catch hold of the people's attention there. So if the study is of a particular species, right, name it in the title, right? So if you are talking about particular species, I think this is important to name, be very particular in it, right? If the inferences made in the paper are limited to the particular region, then name it in the title, right? So I think it's very important to do that, because, if you're talking about some researches, particularly about a small state in India, let's say Assam, or maybe, Bengal, it's important that you, name the regions, right? So it's a great concern, we know, right? Research topic is a great concern for, for a researcher, in fact, right? So one of the basic questions often asked by the researcher or the fresh graduate, right, fresh graduate student about to embark on a deeper research career. I think this is very important. How do I go about framing an attractive research for my publication? I think even, every PhD student would be asking their guide, sir, what should be the research topic for my research or for my thesis, right? So even the most experienced researchers would not give the straight and clear-cut answer. I think this is very true. I think that whether you like it or not, I think we need to digest this. Nobody can give you, right, answer to such questions. It's very right, and this would be subject specific and can be tied to types of investigations being undertaken. So what kind of subject you are talking about, right? What kind of investigations you have done, right, undertaken. So it all depends, right? And then this all together, helps you frame your topic. Okay, a research topic for publication could be a question sometimes. Yeah, we have seen those. Sometimes it can be a hypothesis, or a statement expressing the overview of a subject, right, under discussion or investigation. So it can be anything, right? A simple question can be a research topic, right? So we need to understand this, right? So let's go deeper into it. So maybe I'll just try to take you through, some of the key things that we need to ask ourselves in order to frame a good question, right? So framing a research topic. So maybe we need to ask ourselves, right? So ask yourself these questions, right? So who is involved in the research, right? So when you carry out research, right, who is involved in the research, right? So in this particular example that's given here, right, we have this elementary or junior high school students involved, right? So here, who is involved? So academic, right, intrinsic motivation in elementary and junior high school students, right, by this particular author here, right? So here, who is involved? So the research title talks about it, right? So it says that it's the junior elementary or junior high school students involved here, okay? Then next, right, it can be or, right? It can be, right, who are the groups of people involved in the research now? Who was involved in, again, right, in the above question? Second, it can be, right, who are the group of people involved in the research? Is it the Bhutanese women there, or the Indian children, or African youths, or people with diabetes, or who is involved there, right? So if you just look at this, right, investigation of Bhutanese primary school teachers, right, technological knowledge, right, by this particular author here. From this title, it is apparent that the research is focused on Bhutanese primary school teachers, right? It's a group of people involved there, right? Next, what, right? We need to ask what. So what we are going to ask is, what is the central subject of the research, right? So is it the electrons, the soft metals there, right? Plant metabolites, right? Or maybe transition state theory, or antibiotics, or cancer theory, or what is it? Is it demonetization, right? So central subject. So advances in microfluid paper-based analytics device for food and water analysis, right, by the author here, reveals that the research topic was focused on microfluid paper-based analytical devices and food and water analysis, right? So in this case, the author both reveals the subject of the investigation, right, in which the latter and the methodology, this one is being formed. So here we need to understand, sometimes the subject is also, very crucial here, and then, it talks about it, right? The central subject is talked by the research question, right? Sorry, the research topic. What is the background of the study, Okay, what is the background of the study here? Okay. In this case, right, if you just look at here, right, we can see here the title reveals that the study was based on, right, previously studied, for example, IL-23R as prosaic Rix genes, right? So there are two things here, right? We are trying to see that something has been done in the previous years, and then we are referring back to it, right? So here, a large, right, if you just look at the example of the topic here, a large scale genetic association confirms that IL-12B and leads to identification of IL-23R as prosaic Rix genes, right? So we are trying to look at, we are looking at the background of the studies here, something that has been done in the past, and then we are trying to associate with it and then carry forward our research work. What are the consequences of the result of the study, right? So the title of the paper may clearly reveal the main outcome of an investigation, right? So expression profiling reveals, right, off-target genes regulations of RNAi, right? So it also talks about the consequences of the study here, okay? What is the rationale of the study here, right? Some journal title reveals some, right, often hidden reasons behind the investigation, how drug-like, right, are naturally occurring anti-cancer compound, right? So this research topic is a question that reveals that the author sought out to investigate whether naturally occurring compounds could be starting point for discovering an anti-cancer, right? So it's again, the rationale behind is being made clear here in the topic. So there are, different things, in fact, is happening in the research title, and what is our objective, what is our aim, what we want to do. I think it's up to the researchers what you want to do, right, and what you want to project it in your research. Where is the investigation based, right? So is it in India, is it in Nigeria or Bhutan or London? Where is it? I think still, right, this can also be answered, okay? And then when was it, right? Even the time period can be talked in your research topic, right? So some people would prefer to do a study of that particular time period, right? So that can also happen, right? So a typical example could be, right, natural products as source of new drugs over the 30 years from 1981 to 2010, right? So now a group of people would like to do this, right? And this specifically talks about the time period between 1981 to 2010, right? So the time period, when, okay? How relevant are the results obtained? Okay? And then how are the results so relevant? Is it relevant? So we see here, right, molecular complexity and its impact on the probability of finding leads for drug discovery. So it shows that the investigation is relevant for identification of new leads for drug discovery. So even sometimes we also know the relevancy, right, of the results that the researchers have actually obtained after their investigation, right? Or how are the results related to the current body of existing knowledge, right? So sometimes the topics, the titles could, right, be something like this, right? It's talking about the current body of existing knowledge, right? So current trend in college cheating, right? This may sound vague, but it reveals that the author intends to provide additional insight or summarize the current trend in the field, right? So here we know that the research style topics, right, actually has multiple facets, right? And then it's up to the researchers what you want to get into, how you want to ask, what is crucial for you, what is your intention, right? So I think based on this, we can still look at, And another important thing is check if the topic has never been previously published. I think this is very, very, very important for us, right? So it's something to do with originality, right? So originality is the key driving force right here in the areas of, in the world of research and publication, right? If you're original, you are there. If you are not, you are finished, right? So I think that's where I think we need to check ourselves, right? Whether what you are going to publish is original or not, right? So what happens is now there has been a lot of research and then a lot of publications being done every now and then, right? A lot of things are coming up. So how do we cope up? How do we manage our topics then, right? Because what I am intended to, what I'm about to do is being already covered, published, right? So here is the trick, right? So it's important, right? Type in your proposed research title in the search engine, and then you can quickly ascertain whether your topic had been previously published or not. You can type those, right? Type in your paper there, okay? Title there and see whether this or similar kind of topics has been published or not. So if the same topic is already published, maybe you'd like to refine it, you want to change certain things in it and then try to, make it more, more original for yourselves then, right? So this could permit the authors to reframe the topic or rephrase the statement if necessary to ensure originality. So I think to ensure originality, we'll have to actually rephrase it, reframe it. Okay, so this is important. Next one is the co-authors. I think this is in the world of research. I think we have co-authors. We have colleagues who are actually with us all the time. So this is often the stage where the topic or the title is polished, right? So with the help of our colleagues, with the help of our co-authors, with the help of our guide, we try to polish our topics, titles, right? So one key guiding factor is to ensure that the topic is not too short, right, to be vague, but at the same time not too lengthy yet specific. So I think this is the punchline here for us, right? It should not be very short, right, and vague, and at the same time it should not be very lengthy, so it has to be specific. So I think this is what the 7th edition APA 7th edition recommends, right? Our title should not be more than 12 words in length, right? So and then somewhere we have also looked at some of the other researchers and then some of the other publisher, I think, and then we are now trying to consider 12 to 15 words, right? We are trying to say that it should not exceed 15, 12 to 15. Since I think it's really challenging for us to make within 12 words, right? So in the previous, I think, editions, they have talked about 15 words also, right? So we are saying that, okay, 12 to 15 words, right? And then it should not contain abbreviation, very important, right? So we should not be using abbreviations, right? Or those words which actually makes no sense in that case, okay? So with this, I think I will take you through a very, very short practical session, right? I know it's not wise enough for me to leave you with this theories here. Maybe let me give you some practical idea as to how we can do this, right? How we can make our title, okay, or construct our title. So research topic, so shortest maze of 7, so maybe I would like to take you there to this maybe 7 steps, right? Maybe I call it as shortest maze of 7, right? So step number 1, right? Ask yourself a few questions about your research. So what are you going to do, right? You're going to ask, right? What does your paper seek to answer? What is your intention? What answer you are going to get, or what does it accomplish at the end, right? So try to ask questions as briefly as possible with 1 or 2 sentences each by going through each section of the paper and finding the most relevant information. Maybe here, I think I should stop and tell you here that, I don't know how many of you have the practice of, giving a title to your paper, in the beginning, but I think most of the scholars would agree with me that we give the title at the end of your paper, right? As you complete your research, I think we give the, title. The most appropriate title comes as the research is completed, right? So after, after you finish your paper, we are going to ask few questions here, right? For instance, what is my paper about, right? What is my paper about? Okay, I have completed my paper. So my paper is about something, yes, right? So just give an answer to it. My paper studies, right, program volume effect outcome for liver transplant patient on waiting list, Okay, so this is my answer. So you are asking a question to yourself and you are giving an answer, right? My paper studies how program volume affects outcome for liver transplant patient on waiting list. Okay, first question. And what would be the second question? So second question that I'm asking is, right, what method or technique did I use to perform my study? Okay, I employed a case study. Okay, so the answer is clear. Then the third question, what or who was the subject of my study? So who was the subject of my study here? So I have studied 60 cases of liver transplant patient on a waiting list throughout US, right, aged 25 to 50. So these are the subject of my studies. These are the group of people that I have actually studied on, right? There were the 60 cases of liver transplant, right? So what were the result then? So what was the result? So I need to answer myself because I have already finished doing my research, right? So my study revealed a positive correlation between wait list volume and negative prognosis of transplant procedure. So what I'm doing, I'm giving a very honest answer according to my research here, right? Okay, then let's go to step 2, right? In this step, right, what we are going to do, identify the list, right? Identify and list keywords and phrases from these responses, right? So whatever we have answered, right, to ourselves, right, from the questions that we have asked, we have answered ourselves, right? So from there, you need to take out the keywords and phrases. For example, right, I'm taking the program volume, outcome, liver transplant patient, right, wait list, case studies, 60 cases, right, US, age 20 to 50. I think these are some of the keywords that I have, in my response to the question that I've asked myself, right? Positive correlation, negative outcomes, right? And then transplant procedures, right? So these are the keywords I have taken. So what do I do with this now? In step 3, use these keywords. Now we have got the keywords, right? Now use these keywords to create a long sentence. Now you're going to use, you're going to play with the words here and then try to create a sentence there, right? So let's look at this sentence now. This study employed a case study of 60 liver patients around the US age 20 to 50 to assess how wait list volume affect the outcome of liver transplantation in patients. Result indicate, now because we have included all, right? Result indicates a positive correlation between increased wait list volume and negative prognosis after the transplant procedure. So we have made use of all the words that we have listed in step 2, and we have created a very long sentence, right? So now this sentence is too long a title, in fact, right? We cannot have this long title, right? So we need to trim this and polish this in the next two to three steps now, right? So in step 4, what we are doing now, create a working title, right? So in order to create a working title, remove the elements that makes it, remove elements to make this complete sentence, but keep everything that is most important to what the study is about. So now try to take out those things, those words which you feel is not very crucial to the studies here, right? So delete all unnecessary kind of redundant words that are not central to the study, or those words that the researchers would not use in the database search. I think this is an important keyword for us here, right? So which word do you think the people who'd actually be searching the papers would type there, right? So we need to be careful about which word to choose for your title, the topic there, right? So in this step 5, what we are doing, shift words around for a proper syntax, right? Phrase it a bit to shorten the length and make it leaner and more natural, right? So we are left with this now. Let's look at this, right? How good it looks like. Okay, a case study of 60 liver transplant patient around the US age 20 to 50 years, right? Assessing the impact of wait list volume on outcome of transplantation and showing a positive correlation between increased wait list volume and negative prognosis, right? So, okay, it still works, right? But given the number of words, I think we have 38 words, and then we cannot keep this long as well, right? So we are given the liberty to use, let's say, 12 words, and then maybe we are taking, for now, we are taking 12 to 15, right? So we are not going to exceed 15, so, right? So word count for this still more. So we need to eliminate some more words and phrases that are not essential to this title. So what do we do next, right? So eliminate extra words and phrases to meet the word count. Place keywords at the beginning and at end of your title, right? So we need to be now very careful because we are trimming things now, right? Since the number of patients studied and the exact outcome are not the most essential part of this paper, remove from this, right? These elements from here, right? So the number of patient, how many patients you have studied, I think the sample size, right? Taken may not be very much crucial to actually advertise in our title there, topic there, right? So we can exclude those things, right? So, and then also the exact outcome, these are not essential, right? So we can remove this, right? So let's see what happens then, right? Since the method used in these studies are not usually the most researched, right? Researched, right, for keywords in database and represents additional details that you may want to remove, right, to take your title short, make your title shorter and more appropriate. So maybe we are making it more shorter again, right, by taking out those words which we feel is not still useful for us, right, and then which the people searching on the internet, right, do not use it, right, the database. So we are now saying assessing the impact of wait list volume on outcome and prognosis in liver transplantation patient. So our title at this level should be fine. I'm not saying this is a perfect one here again, right? So if we can get to this level, trimming down, right? It's very, very maybe for us at it's very good, right? If we can come to this level here. Okay. Now, maybe after this, right? If we want to have a subtitle, sometimes yes, even I would prefer to do that, right? Given an opportunity, right? So if we need to have a subtitle for this research, right? So if you feel that subtitle may be needed to given maybe more immediate details about your methodology or sample, you can do this. We can add this, right? Using a colon, we can still say a case study of US adult patient age 20 to 25. Okay. So we are saying now, if we are going by the rules, right? It's a word count rule, right? This is not actually recommended, however, right? However, every journal, it will have its own standard, right? Standard formatting, style guidelines for titles, we have so many, different journals having their own standard. They follow their own standard, right? So we need to actually read, right? Those guidelines in order to actually make our paper acceptable in those journals, right? So what is the standard length of their title, how it has to be framed, right? So I think even starting with the title, the journals would guide us, in fact, right? So, but in general, I'm just talking in general, right? So in general, this is how we can still work, right? So we can still make our title more attractive, okay? So it's good idea to be aware of the specific author instruction, of the particular journals that you are, targeting to publish your paper. Okay, so it's always good to have a very good idea about what the journal demands. Getting into some of the tips, I think I think it's needless for me to share this. However, right? So our titles, write the title after you have written your paper and abstract, right? So I think this is what we are trying to say. So the best thing is if you can write the title after you have actually finished your paper, right? And include all the essential terms in your paper. So whatever, the important terms that we have, keywords that we have, right? Just below the abstract, we use, you put us some keywords, right? So these keywords can still come to the title here, right? The topic. Keep it short and to the point, right? 12 to 15 words or fewer, right? Don't exceed 15. I think this is where we are trying to stop ourselves. Avoid unnecessary jargons and abbreviations. I think this is also important, because if we are, becoming too technical again, maybe you may not get a lot of readers to, attend your paper. So in order to have more readership, right, it's always good to be as simple as possible, right? Use keywords that captures the content of your paper, right? So I think this is what we need to use, our keywords that actually captures the content of your paper, right? Never include a period at the end, right? Your title is not a sentence. So I think this is what we need to remind ourselves, because often we see people doing this, right? Getting into paraphrasing, I think this is the last topic that I will be talking about, right? I'll be delivering. Now, I think it's important, because I'm not going to cover the entire paraphrasing and then with the examples here, because this can be a separate topic to deliver and then discuss when it comes to the citations, right? Referencing and citation. So we can have a separate session on referencing and citations, where we can also talk about paraphrasing there, right? However, I'm just going to briefly talk about the essence of paraphrasing, because I say this paraphrasing is an essential art for a researcher, right? So if you are good at paraphrasing, yes, you are definitely a good researcher then, right? So what is it actually, right? It's expressing the meaning of someone else's words in your own words, instead of getting it directly, instead of quoting it directly, right? So we are getting the meaning of someone, the others, people's views, right? And then we are trying to put it in our own words. We are not going to take them their quotes, right? We are not going to put them inside the inverted commas and then make them stand firm for you, but rather we are going to understand, capture the essence, and then put it, right? So why do you do this, right? So it saves space and keep your study more focused, right? So it saves space and your study is more focused, because maybe person would have said so many things in a statement, but what is important for you, you can still, deviate, just get the essence of the speaker and leave out what is not essential for you, for your research, right? So it helps you to focus, right? Next thing is distill complex information into language that general reader can understand, right? So it also helps us to actually make things much lighter, right? So the complex information, for example, some of the researchers, maybe great thinkers and researchers and philosophers would have said so many things in a very complex tone, using a very complex language, which maybe an ordinary reader like us, may not understand it, right? So when we paraphrase it, we are actually bringing those complex ideas, wrapped in very, very sophisticated language and make it, readable for our audience, more. So in that case, what happens is we are also going to have more readers for your paper, right? Because you are actually getting the complex things in a simple language. Next one is avoid plagiarism and provide your own authorial voice, right? So we are saying it's the authorial voice now, right? Now we are also not plagiarizing anybody here, right? But not to say that you can take it, right? We still have to have the in-text citations for the paraphrasing, right? So we are still making taking our own voice, and then we do not need to actually leave out things and then maybe jump or maybe over explain certain things just to come out to your point, isn't it? So we are trying to get the ideas, fit it exactly the way we want it. Okay. Next, right, the differences, right? So, and then maybe when do we use this, right? So when should we paraphrase and when should we use the direct quote? I think I have taken this material, right, directly from some sources here. And then I found like this is quite important for us to understand, right? So you should paraphrase to show you understand, right? You should paraphrase to show you understand the main ideas, arguments of the author. Right? So this is when you should be paraphrasing, to show that the main idea is understood, the arguments brought in is understood, right? You should paraphrase to help explain difficult concept or terminology, right? So whenever some things are very difficult, some jargons are being used, which maybe an ordinary people may not understand in your research, right? So you can still paraphrase it. To highlight original ideas that are interesting when the original language is not as interesting, right? So you find something very interesting, but the language used there is not very interesting. So you want to paraphrase it. To change the emphasis of information to match your arguments. This is very important, right? So I think most of the time people would go for this, right? Because you want to emphasize on certain information, right? So, and then it matches there. But, if we take the particular quote from them, maybe it's again, not exactly matching with what you want to emphasize, right? So for ready emphasis, right, to emphasize your, opinion or, the idea that you are actually expressing, right? You are still paraphrasing it. To provide a clear voice in your paper that isn't directly connected to other works, right? So if you want to provide a clear voice to the paper, and then, that is not connected to the other work. So in this case also, again, we are paraphrasing, okay? So when you should not be paraphrasing, right? You should use direct quote when the original wording is strong and engaging. If we find the original words are very strong and engaging, yes, take it. If it fits, right? If the quote is very well known or difficult to paraphrase, sometimes, yes, some people where quotes are very difficult to paraphrase. And then if we try to paraphrase, it goes to maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs for us, right? It may be very long then, right? So in that case, still take it. Or where the exact word of an authority would lend support to your own ideas, right? So you should be using the direct quote when the exact word of an authority would support your own ideas, right? So your ideas exactly matches with what he is saying or what she is saying or what that particular author is talking, right? So when you want to present authors' detailed methods or findings or exact stated position, so sometimes, yes, you want to understand, right, the exact position or the methods or findings of the different authors. So in that case, still we can bring it. Okay, so maybe this is where what is important for us when we should be doing and when we should not be doing, right? And maybe we'll just look at some rules here, right? General rules, right? So I think we know it, right? So direct quote is a simply copy paste, right? So we are just using the original word copy paste of word to word, right? And then the quoted text must be accompanied by a quotation mark and in-text citation. I think let's not forget this, right? So if you are taking the direct quote, you are just picking up that copy paste, and then sometimes we forget to use the inverted comma there, or we forget to give the in-text citation. So citation is important here, right? It's not our work. So second one is paraphrasing. So it may include some key terms from the original work, but must use new language to represent it, right? So when we are paraphrasing it, we are using some new words. We are trying to replace those words, right? So we need to have a lot of synonyms for those words and use the synonyms to replace those words. While paraphrasing, do not use quotation marks. So in this case, we do away with the quotation mark, but you must cite the original work, which means that the in-text citation should be there, right? The author should be mentioned, the page number should come, right? Whatever. So here, this is what we are going to do, right? So maybe an example is cited for, maybe it's not very necessary. So we all know it, right? then getting into the changing sources text, right? Source text into paraphrases. So how do we do this, right? So now maybe practically I wanted to do it, but I think given the time and the platform here is not possible. So maybe you just read out the simple ways, steps to do this, right? So how do we change the source text into into a paraphrase there, right? So read important parts of the source text material until you fully understand its meaning. So I think, yes, this is where I think a lot of people actually are misguided, and then a lot of people have problems because we need to read it. So if we are not able to understand the source material, if we are not able to understand the particular idea shared by the authors there, right? So it's very much impossible, I should say, that you get a correct paraphrase of it, right? So understanding becomes crucial here, right? So if we are not able to understand the particular matter ourselves, right, we can go to our co-authors, we can talk to our colleagues, and then try to get the idea, the meaning of that particular phrase, particular quotation correctly, right? Then we can move forward, right? Take some notes and list key terms of the source material. Now, when you understand that, then you start taking some notes. Okay, this is what it means, right? So we are going to note down the key points there, right? Key terms of the source materials. Then we will write our own paragraph without looking at the source material. Okay, now once we have all the keywords with us, right, understood, we understood the material, we have the keywords now, right? And then now in the next step, right, step number 3, we are going to write those things, right? We are going to write it down for ourselves without looking at the material there, right? The source material. Next step, check to make sure your version captures important parts and intent of the source material. So once you are done with the writing part, right, you can always cross-check with the source material and then see whether the most important things are captured or not, right? And then finally indicate where your paraphrasing starts and ends using in-text citation. So maybe you can still do that, right? And then you use the in-text citation. Okay, so maybe with this, right, I think we are coming to the end of my presentation here, right? And then I don't know whether I was off use to any one of you here, right? However, I have tried my best to make it more shorter and then user friendly, right? For now, I think I'm also trying to give a clue here that I think as we look into paraphrasing, right, this paraphrasing needs lots of hands-on practices, right? And then this can be done along with the APA citations, right? I think citations, referencing and citations, these are two different things. And these are most complicated things for all of us, and then maybe we don't want to do it manually, right? So many of us prefer doing it online, right? So maybe it's very important for us to learn how to do resource referencing. So if the opportunities comes ahead, in looking into the referencing part, maybe practically we need to do the paraphrasing as well once again. So with this, thank you all for lending me your ears, and thank you organizers for making me the part of this program. Thank you. And Kadinshela. Kadinshela basically means thank you in our national language. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the session. This was a very informative session, sir. And the little details that you covered, whether it was how to use a tense, like there oftentimes we get confused between a passive tense or an active tense, to also whether facts like whether should we put a 0 before the decimal or not. So I think it was definitely very informative, and I can with certainty say that the participants are taking away a lot of learning from this. Any questions that the participants have, please message me in the chat box. So as of now, I don't see a question, sir. And but yes, I'm getting a lot of feedback saying the session was extremely useful, and they got to learn a lot. And most of them are requesting for the presentation because there are so many points. There was a point I wanted to just copy everything from the presentation. So it was a wonderful session, sir. I just had a question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
That when we frame a research title, and you took us to that short maze, that 7 steps, is a long topic always not recommended, or we can go beyond certain words to frame the title? And also, if we frame a title which is too short, won't it become vague? So let's say if I'm studying about a corporate and the role that it has played in removing, let's say, malnutrition. So if I frame a corporate with, say, corporate India and malnutrition, so won't it get too vague if we go too short? If you could just give your insight on that.
Okay, I think this is a very beautiful question, Miriam. I think that's why I think APA also now tries to say that it should be 12 words and less, right? However,
Right.
maybe yes. However, when we talk about the titles, right? These titles actually has to be now, because now the intentions are different, right? Because now you just don't want to write a paper and then maybe dump it somewhere. You want your paper to be published and your paper to be cited by people around the globe, right? So now we need to our intention is to increase the readership of our paper. So in that case, what happens is now the content becomes more important, right? What content you are capturing, right? That content, and be very specific about the content that you are capturing. For example, you are talking about, let's talk about, say, the consequences of demonetization, maybe, and then maybe to a particular section of society, or maybe to a particular region, right, or a country, right? So the concept becomes very crucial here, and then bringing out concept and adding the flavor, those words. For example, you are also using different methodologies. For example, if your methodology is very unique, yes, I think that's again important to use those, right? So whatever you feel is very unique about your paper, try to incorporate those things. Uniqueness. So try to find out how is my paper different from others? How is my paper, tackling the same situation in a different manner? So try to bring out those unique things from your paper and try to attach it to your title, right? So this is how you are going to, increase your readership, and this is how your title becomes more attractive. Thank you, madam. I think whether I clarified or not.
Sure,
but,
sir. And
yes.
there are a few more questions which I'm getting. So one of the question is, what is the right place of footnotes in a thesis, bottom of the page or in the last of chapters? It's a question from Pramod Pandey.
Okay, when it comes to, I think, the footnote, right? It's basically towards the end of the, the bottom of the paper, not end, right? Towards the bottom of the paper, because usually what happens is footnotes is a ready reference for people, right? So as I'm reading a paper, I come across something that's very unique to me, or very, a new term or terminology there, right? So footnote basically should come at the bottom of the research paper, right? Every paper, bottom of every research, paper there. So it's not towards the end. It's not the glossary there. It's the footnote. So it should be coming towards the end of the bottom of the paper. Sorry, yeah.
Right. So there's another question from Ms. Shobna, and she says, is it necessary to follow the style of writing value while keeping in mind whether it exceeds the value one or not? Kindly throw some light on the language used while writing a research paper. So I think
it's quite vague.
Right, and it's been to some extent covered in the session when it comes to writing a research paper, So I think, sir, what she wants to know is probably the tenses and, how do you frame a research topic to how do you paraphrase? So yeah. I think, Shobna, you can find that from the presentation. So there's another question, which is, sir, can you please explain the difference between conference paper, journal paper, and book chapter?
Okay, conference paper.
Journal paper
maybe,
and book chapter.
Book chapter, right? I think this is another another what you call a topic for a presentation, in fact, right? Because they are different, right, in their own ways, right? Journal paper, right? In itself, they have a lot of different features there, right? And then maybe the book chapter is completely a different thing that we are talking about. So maybe I would like to request the person who has asked the question to actually maybe read these different things, right? Because when we talk about journal paper, right? Journal paper, because maybe we are taking one concept there, maybe in all the three different things that you are talking, we have different concepts talked about, but the presentation styles are different, right? The creation of the contents are different. So, the style of writings are different, right? So in that case, I should, for now, I would say that, they have different styles of writing and presentation for which we call them with different names. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. So I think, sir, yes, so these are the questions. There is another question which says, is it mandatory to write review of literature as a part of research paper? So, would you like to answer that?
I think that's also very obvious, right? I think
Of
as
the
long as
research paper.
researchers are there,
And,
reviews should be there, right? So because your idea and my idea is invalid, it means nothing when we are not able to relate it with the whole world of literature. So I think that's very obvious we need to have.
Right. Sir, there's another question coming from Shobna, and she's saying from the previous question, when she asked you, is it necessary to follow the style of writing value? So she's saying she wants to ask that the writing style, should it be advanced, technical, or simple when she's writing a research paper?
Okay, I think it basically depends. When we say advanced, it should be simple in the sense that, which field of language you are taking, which area of research, area of studies you are taking. Because if you are, from the, world of business, I think when we say simple, yes, all the, terminologies used in the world of business has to be used there, right? So anyways, it should be simple to the world of, to the field of studies that you are attached to, right? So I think that should be fine, yeah.
Right. And so lastly, there's a question from, Abdul. He's a research scholar from Mangalore University. He's saying, what if his research topic, suppose the title which I've selected for my research project and same title has previously already been done. In this case, what step do I need to take and what is the UGC response to it?
Okay, I think maybe I was just trying to give you a tips on how you can still check your research paper title, right? So we can, when we type the titles and you find that your title has been already published, I think this is a big challenge for everybody. I think this is a daily challenge that the scholars are facing. So we need to now try to look at your research more in details and try to find out how, or which aspects of your research stands out, and then maybe bringing out those points you can still bring, or rephrase, using different, maybe one or two different words, keywords can be changed from your title, and then try to put it slightly differently based on the essence that your paper talks. Right. So getting into the essence of your paper is very important. And then how is your paper different? Maybe one keyword, a change in one keyword would do wonders again. Right. So now we have to really play with the words and the terminologies that we are using, and basically the focus that we are having for our research. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Sure, sir. So I think, sir, that's all the questions we have for today. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for a great session, and we look forward to similar sessions in the future. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. So I think once again, I would request the participants to please fill in the feedback form. Feedback forms are already, it's provided to you. And I think we'll close the session now.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.